The 20th century had oil. The 21st century has chips, what we call semiconductors. They're everywhere, in our phones, in our cars, in our appliances, even in our weapons.
Taiwanese tech giant TSMC warns an invasion of the island would render its factory inoperable, devastating global supply.
These chips have become the brains of almost every appliance we use, from phones to tablets, laptops, automobiles, medical equipment, and so on. How does geopolitics play out in the semiconductor chip industry? Will geopolitical problems disrupt the industry? Or will it give rise to new players? To better understand the whole ecosystem of the semiconductor industry, let's break it down piece by piece, starting with the importance of semiconductor chips and their omnipresence in our everyday lives. Semiconductor chips and their importance. Semiconductor chips are an essential but frequently disregarded miracle. They are omnipresent and function as the brain of whatever appliance it's fitted in. It goes without saying that chips that can perform such complicated tasks can only demand a manufacturing process that is capital-intensive, expensive, and extremely skilled. It ends up putting specific countries or regions in control of some specific process along the supply chain and essentially becoming a choke point. But which are the companies that control the supply chain? Which countries dominate the sector? Let's uncover. I hope you're enjoying this video. If you are, please take a moment to like and subscribe below. Your likes and subscriptions help our videos get more views in the YouTube algorithm, and it means a lot to us to know that our content is appreciated. Thank you for your support. The semiconductor chip journey, monopoly and choke points. If we take the first step in the production of semiconductor chips, the design begins with optimizing chip architecture and leveraging specialized software. The United States dominates the design market, holding over 40% of the global IC design market share. U.S. firms like Cadence, Synopsys, and Mentor Graphics are integral players. In the manufacturing process, we can cite the example of TSMC, or Taiwan Semiconductor Manufacturing Company. It's the world leader in the manufacturing of semiconductor chips. According to a report by International Data Corporation, or IDC, the market share of TSMC grew to 55% in 2022 as compared to 51% in 2021. It remains the largest in semiconductor chip manufacturing, and it's not even close. Samsung Foundry, the second-place market leader, had a share of 16%, and the others all had scattered market shares in the single digits. Moving on to our second example, ASML, a Dutch-based company, has a different kind of monopoly in the chip-making process. Whether it's Apple, NVIDIA, Intel, or AMD, all chip manufacturers follow a common blueprint. A wafer, made from special sand, is sliced into delicate layers, forming the foundation for chips. These slices are crucial in determining the chip's efficiency and speed. ASML, with its cutting-edge ultraviolet lithography technology, owns the secret recipe behind these precise cuts. While there's competition in the field of ultraviolet lithography, ASML dominates with a commanding 62% market share. Cold War 2.0, US-China confrontation and opportunity for India. So why does this matter geopolitically? As the United States vies for a larger stake in the silicon trade, tensions rise with China. The US has sought to restrict China's access to cutting-edge chip making, pressuring nations like the Netherlands where ASML is based. China, often a formidable contender, has struggled to emulate this complex technology. Even the tried-and-true deep ultraviolet lithography, or DUV, poses challenges for them. In return, China has put several restrictions on the export of gallium and germanium, two components that are vital in the manufacture of semiconductor chips. China has a domination in its supply and has demanded special licenses from exporters to export their respective materials. What does this mean for the rest of the world? A disruption in the industry and uncertainty in the market for investors? Definitely. But some also see this disarray as an opportunity. And one country that has been keeping a close eye on developments, India. A fast-growing market economy and an appetite for putting itself on the global stage. But does it have what it takes? Let's probe further. India's efforts to bring the chips home. If we look at the top companies in India that work in the semiconductor industry, names such as Tata Elxsi, HCL Technologies, Moschip, and others crop up. These companies are quite far from achieving the status of a TSMC or an Intel or AMD for that matter. Special efforts have to be made and policies designed in order to provide incentives and a foundation for these companies to establish foundries or fabs, the term given to plants that manufacture semiconductor chips. 2 years ago, the Indian government did just that. In December 2021, the Cabinet of India approved $30 billion to develop an electronics manufacturing hub with a focus on semiconductor chips. It also promised 50% fiscal support for companies that establish fabs. To achieve this, it required an outlay of $10 billion. India's semiconductor industry in 2022 was touted to be worth $27 billion and is projected to reach $55 billion by 2026. So, the potential is massive. So why hasn't the semiconductor industry in India taken off as planned? Let's briefly look at some examples, focusing on the infamous Foxconn-Vedanta deal and examine the way forward for India. Foxconn-Vedanta fallout and the way forward. The problem with the opening of the first window to apply for fiscal support and incentives was that it was limited to only 46 days. It was too little time to apply, considering the complexities of the industry. Subsequent windows were opened to rectify the situation, and recently, a new window has been opened as well. There were some applications that were received, but the problems with their applications have stalled the process. The most significant fallout was from the breakup of the joint venture between Foxconn, a Taiwan-based company, and Vedanta, a metal-to-oil behemoth based in India. They aimed to establish a foundry in the country. But having only two was not enough. They required a third partner to license the technology for them, since they lacked the expertise for it. After identifying the Netherlands-based ST Microelectronics as a third partner, all seemed ready for the big push. Subsequent delays by the government in approving funds and the reluctance of ST Microelectronics to invest and dedicate more to the arrangement threw a spanner in the works. Furthermore, Vedanta's debt was also identified as a problem. It eventually led to Foxconn pulling out of the deal, and the $19.5 billion project has now come to a standstill. There's been some problems with the Singapore-based IGSS Technologies project as well. Although all is not bad, let's look at how India's future still looks bright and why these could be just some minor setbacks in the country's grand scheme of positioning itself as a hub for semiconductor chips. India's promising future. On top of the factors already mentioned, such as abundant labor and a fast-growing economy, India's government remains committed to the cause. As the US continues to stoke the Taiwan fire, and China continues to become more assertive, companies are bound to get cautious about their investments in Taiwan and might be compelled to look elsewhere. It provides the perfect opportunity for India to prop up and capture the market. But this would take a dedicated effort and coordination across ministries to manifest that into reality. The government, led by Prime Minister Modi, has reiterated its commitment to transform India into a $5 trillion economy, and the semiconductor industry can be a huge contributor. Micron, an American-based company, has agreed to invest $825 million in a testing and packaging unit for semiconductors. The total investment is actually set at $2.75 billion if we factor in the investments made by the federal and state governments. Foxconn, even if it suffered a setback, is still willing to invest $2 billion in the next 5 years in India, according to its chairman, Young Liu. Similarly, AMD has also stated that it plans to invest $400 million, even committing to establishing a design factory in the city of Bangalore in South India. So pieces of the puzzle are coming together, and it seems like a question of when, not if. As India moves closer to the US in the power game with China, a US push for this industry does not seem far-fetched either. Whether it's the government's dedication or a mere efficient implementation of incentives and policies, India looks set to be a vital player, albeit in the future. If it has to bring the chips home, one thing is certain: it has to go all in. Similar to India, a dedicated effort by you to like this video and subscribe to our channel would not go unnoticed. If you're feeling generous, you can press the bell icon so you do not miss out on our future uploads. Thank you, and bye for now.